So today I will make a demonstration of HyDraw CAD, and since it's not the first demonstration, the first webinar of this kind that we make, so I will try to add to bring something new that I never did. But of course, there are also new prospects attending, so I will try to explain more items regarding the software. Some may already be known by attendees. When we start a drawing in HyDraw CAD, we select a template, and I normally start with hydrometric. So as you can see from the start menu, you can select. And normally I start with hydrometric, but today I select a different template, which I created some time ago for another webinar. Basically, this template, and now the message I want to give to everybody is that the template you start with is very important because it will save a lot of time. Also with the idea in mind that we need to then produce a PDF or a document that we want to share with our customer. Basically, now our drawing is divided into, we already have 3 title blocks. And basically, I want to build a small diagram of a power unit with the power unit on the left frame, subplate manifold with directional control valves on the center and the part list on the right. With this template, as you can see down here, we have a paper space, and I already have 3 pages, and which are well centered, so it will be very easy to then produce a PDF out of this diagram. One information that most maybe if you are not very familiar with AutoCAD environment, you don't know. It is possible directly to work in paper space. So although in the model space I have 3 frames, and I will actually physically place 3 parts of the diagram in all these 3 frames, I can also draw directly on the main page. It's important that you enter in what we call layout, a viewport. So basically, I double click inside my viewport, and now everything I draw here is like if I were drawing in the model space. So now I'm loading the library on the left with the symbol. By clicking symbol, this command will load on the left of the Library Explorer. And now, if I enter in any folder and double click and place my symbol directly here, as you can see now, magically the symbol is already black and white. This is because I have some settings in my template. And if we go back to the model space, then we can see that the symbol is the standard ISO 1219 colors. And basically, and I am drawing here, double click and place the symbol. I can make connection lines, and connection lines stay with color because of my settings, and everything I do here is reflected directly in the model space. So basically, there is no difference if you work in the model space or in the paper space. It is up to you. I honestly prefer to work directly in the model space because I am more familiar, and I like also the black background. It's easier for me to concentrate on the diagram. So let us start today's exercise. In order to build something that makes sense, I will not start now from the symbols. I will come back to the symbol library in a few minutes. But the library is divided into 3 main tabs. One is the symbols, one is the external ports, and I'll use later in my exercise. I start from the 3rd part, which is the subsystems. When you install for the first time HyDraw CAD, you will not find any subsystem in the library, because basically subsystems are built by the user according to what the user really needs. So today I want to build a power unit. So during my training, my exercise, my webinars, I have built a library that I normally use. So I go to my power unit, I take a reservoir, and with a double click, I can place my subsystem. Please notice this important command, explode subsystem. Now I will switch it on because I don't need this as one symbol only. I need it as loose items because my part list will be made by reservoir, by site level, and by there is a shutoff valve. So I double click and place my symbol in the drawing. So when you first do your first diagram, of course, you will start from pieces, from valves, connection lines, components. But as far as you create subsystems, and later at the end of today's exercise, I will save a subsystem to the library, then it's very easy to start and build something that makes sense. Subsystem also frees information on components when you save the subsystem. So in this case, if I select, for instance, this shutoff valve, I can see that it has some model data information, although I have not searched for anything in the library. I just brought a symbol, and now this group of symbol is coming with the model data. So remember, when you bring in a subsystem, when you save a subsystem, you are saving the status of the drawing that you are working with. This is different from when you select a symbol, which I will do in a few minutes. Let me clean up. So just for those not very practical with HyDraw, the property manager is a very important tab on the right, and you can open it by typing YP as a shortcut, YP, or you can just click edit here. So the same command is edit. The Library Explorer, if by mistake you close it or it gets closed because you enter in other environment, you open by clicking symbol. And you navigate through the symbols just by entering inside each folder and go back. Now I'm to bring a pump group. So let me bring in this one and let me put it here. Any symbol that you have in the drawing can really be modified, so it's not fixed. So for instance, this reservoir is very tall. I want to make it smaller. So when you select a symbol, you can right click and do a block editor or block editor in place. Block editor will open this block in a second sheet. And here you can do what you want. A very handy command that I frequently use and I strongly recommend you practice with is the AutoCAD stretch, which is here on top of my screen. I see questions. Can you hear me well? Because I see someone not hearing. Can you confirm that you can hear me well?
Carlo, we'll try to follow up on that.
Okay, but you can hear me well. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good. Sorry for so the AutoCAD stretch command is here, and I added it to my quick access toolbar. If you need a command to stay on top, you just select with a right click and add to quick access toolbar. It will add to the quick access toolbar. So any command that you frequently use, instead of going into each single menu, you can just right click and add it to the quick access toolbar. This command works this way. I run the command, I select the portion, enter, and maybe I just make this change. So my reservoir is now smaller, and I can close and apply changes. So now this is fine, and I also want to move my symbol down, and this one also. So to move one symbol on, select, take the insertion point and move it down. Or you can use the move command and move the symbol where you need. It's easier for a single symbol, select, take the insertion point and move it. If you need to move more items, select, press M for move, enter, and the start point and end point. And you can do again multiple times. Now, my diagram will be made this way. So I will have a connection line. So in the circuit, I will make a pressure line. The pressure line will go this way, and then will follow on the other sheet. But I will put something in between. And I have also a tank line, and I want the tank line to go on the left side of the reservoir. Let me put it this way, and it will go also there on the other side. And now let me start bringing some symbols inside. So basically, I will need a manifold here. So with the envelope, I am creating my manifold here, where then I will put some items. I wanted to have the tank port going here. So please notice this behavior. When you create an envelope that is crossing connection lines, the envelope will break connection line into external ports. If the line is not connected to anything, let me make two examples here. And let me bring a symbol, just a check valve symbol, which I position it here. When we make an envelope, in this case, the top line has been cut because there was no connection. The bottom line has left the connection between the symbol and the external port. So this is the same behavior that we have seen here. So the additional segments have been automatically deleted, but in this case, HyDraw left my connection from the pump to the manifold. We can copy symbols in the drawing. So let me just do this. I copy this symbol with a right click, copy selection, and then move it here. And now I want to rotate this symbol, right click and rotate left. And this is making, and then we can change the position of item IDs. When you move a symbol directly on a connection line, the connection line will be automatically broken. So this is very easy. You can directly place a symbol in the connection line, or from the library, like here, double click and place the symbol, and this will break the connection lines. Or like I did, I undo now. You can just place the symbol and then move it on top of a connection line. And this will break the connection line into two. If, of course, the symbol has to be made on a different orientation, first rotate the symbol and then move the symbol here. And then it will break the connection line. Today I want to use some sleeping valves. And so let me search for some components of sleeping valves. In terms of symbols, all the sleeping symbols are inside here in the sleeping cartridge valves, and divided into cover, insert, assemblies. But I don't want now to find directly the symbol. So finding the symbol means that really you navigate through a big library of symbols, which for the sleeping valves may not be, for the insert may not be that large. But if we go to the cover, really we can have a lot of different covers. So now I want to search directly in my online database, fluidpowertools.com. The first setting that we do is we go to the services, data access settings, and we select the manufacturer for today's exercise. So today I want to use Ethos, Bosch Rexroth, Parker. Maybe let me leave Diplomatic. And then of course we can enable more. Let me take Eaton. Okay. So in this case, when you do these settings, that means that HyDraw will filter only those, when you search, you will find only between those manufacturers in the online database. Now I want to search for components in Fluid Power Tools. So the search in Fluid Power Tools is enabled by clicking here. I'm searching in Fluid Power Tools, and now I want to search for sleeping, insert, and I want to search. There are a lot of items here. I want Bosch Rexroth. Let me take NG16, double click, and I can place my symbol in the drawing. Well, let me put it here. I need to make some room in, so I'm going to stretch this down, because on top I want to place the sleeping cover. And again, I can use the AutoCAD stretch command to make some room here. And I'm placing this here. Let's say that I need two of these elements, so I can just copy, place it here. And I'm removing this because I need to make a connection, automatic connection. I want to make a pressure line that start from the pressure and go to A. If you don't like the result of the connection, you can use the HyDraw stretch command, select the horizontal segment in this case and move it down. And now I want to connect directly the B port to the exit here. There is a, well, of course, we can make the connection pressure from B to A. And we can also align these two ports. So in order to align different ports, we are going to use this command, align symbol port. So we select the ports that has to be moved, the destination port, and this dialog will ask me how I want to align. We can see a preview of the alignment and we can click OK, and this will be made. A sleep-in element, the sleep-in insert, are smart because we can make connection directly also on the other side of the B port. And automatically there will be a port showing up. If we delete the right segment, then that port will disappear and we can make it again and it will show up again. So they are smart. This intelligence was brought in HyDraw CAD 2020 version, is not in the older versions of HyDraw CAD. Now let's say that this is going to tank, so we can connect it to the tank. And let me search for some cover. And so I need again to search for insert cover, and I need a directional cover, and I want to search. And let's say that I need Parker in this case. Let me mix up a bit. So this one is going to be here. And in this case, I want to connect this with the B port. And let me move this. And then I go back and search for a relief cover, search. I want to search only for Parker. I want the cover with relief and the possibility to have a directional control valve on top. So I will connect my pilot with here. I will connect my drain directly to the tank, or let's say that we need an external drain on this valve. So we need an additional port, a drain port down here. So if you already have the envelope to add an external port, we go to the external port and we want to drain port. The port type is BSP, and maybe it's a 1x2 BSP. With a double click, we can place the port directly here. Now I want to create a drain connection from the drain. And then now I switch off the auto connect. So auto connect is this toggle here. If you switch it off, that means that the connection, you can control the connection where it's going. So you click, 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 and make the connection. enter to finish the connection. So it's in some cases I prefer having the using the manual connection instead of the auto connection. This port is named tank T, and let's search in the library. So one important aspect is that when we insert symbol, we find all the information here. So we search and define all the settings and then insert the symbol. If the symbol is already in the drawing, it cannot be edited on the left. It is edited only with the property manager on the right. So any information that we want to change to a symbol in the drawing is done directly on the HyDraw property manager on the right. So now we go here and say SA flange 1 by 1 inch code 61. It is possible to search information by design requirements. So that's a P port. Maybe it requires 80 liters per minute. So when we do the search, now the search is recommending a size by 80 liters per minute. So in this case, since there is no pressure, it is suggesting a 3x4 code 61. But if I put, let's say, 280 bar, then it is going to 3x4 code 62. So that's okay. Let me do a 3x4 code 62. I forgot a filter, so let's go back to the search for component, and let me reset and do a search by filter. And let's say that I want this one, double click. And in this case, I have selected a family with 2 model codes. So HyDraw is asking me which one I need to use. This one for 180 liter minutes is okay. So I can insert and place my filter here. I need to flip it. So right click and flip vertical. Let me move the cavity here. So in this case, it's better that I recreate this connection line. Because there is no room. I want to keep the filter here. So I do again the connection line for the pressure. And I connect this one here. This connection, if you want, you can just take the point and automatically it will create the connection dot. In this case, we use the stretch command, take this segment and move it here in order to make the connection better. We can use the copy to copy properties between different entities in the drawing. So now I want to copy the same size between 2 ports. I do again, copy, source, destination, enter to complete the selection, and click OK to apply the copy. Copy will work only for attributes, not for port name, for instance. So in this case, this is P1 and this is T1. I need a valve on top here. So let's search. I am familiar in this case for a Bosch Rexor 4W6D. And this one is okay, but maybe I need a different manufacturer. Select show linked models. And I need the Parker valve 0 D1 VW 020B. It's fine. Double click and place it on top. Sometimes I get a request. I would like to show the dashed connections here. So the symbol is a standard. It is not showing dashed connection. If you want, you can just do and in this case, I don't want the block editor. I do the edit block in place. So with edit block in place, you are just working directly in the same environment, in the same drawing with all the other entities here. It's not opening the block in a different page. And now in the drafting, I can change the line type. So I need a dashed line. Dashed, where is it? Dashed. When we are here, when you are done, you can click Save Changes. Okay. And then this is applying the same rule. Let's save my drawing. Let me go to my HyDraw January webinar. That's my power unit drawing. Here you can right click and add current folder. So, and remove maybe the previous one. So you can always keep your working folder so that it will be very easy to go through the folders where you're working and save. Now I want to move to the second sheet. So first, let me make a couple of segments here. One here and the other is a tank line going here. And there will be jumping references. This one is called a P, and it's going to the destination sheet page number 2. And enter, this one is called a T, and is going to page 1, number 2 as well. Now to make it fast, I again go to the subsystem and I find a stack module, NG6. I take something that I have already made and I put it here. But in this case, let's say I stay with a 4 sandwich plate. Let me delete a couple of them. And again, we can select items and copy. What I normally recommend during training is that people normally use a very standardized stack, always the same. So you do once, store in subsystems, and then you are done. You can really save a lot of different configurations. Those are just examples, but it's not difficult. You build the stack that you need, and then you save to the subsystems. Let me make a pressure connection here. So this one is going to be jumping reference, page 1. And this one also is going to be jumping reference, T, page 1. Jumping reference are connected together because if we select and right click, we can say find jumping reference. It will go to the other jumping reference. Right click, find jumping reference. And we cannot add another T jumping reference. We have only 2. Of course, it is a jumping reference, and so it is indicating that there is one connection. So it is like a reference between one line and another line. It cannot be a 3 connection. Let me search for a cylinder. Cylinder. Double acting. And let me place my cylinder here. Maybe the cylinder is not part of our supply, so I want to exclude from my part list. And I can create connection line. That's better, so then I can copy. The shortcut for copy is typing CP. CP, copy, enter, start point and end point. And you can keep copying as much as you want. Let me delete. Of course, we could undo. To delete, you select and press cancel with a keyboard. Now we are almost ready for our part list. Before doing that, I want to renumber items. And I want maybe to give some more information, like in this case, this valve has a relief valve, this cover, so I want to define the settings. So I can select the valve. I can go to the pressure setting here, and I can type in 280 bar. The pressure setting is displayed, and for any symbol, you can define the standard position for the display format. This is the cavity name. If you don't like the cavity name, you can also switch it off Switching off a display format can be done very quickly just by going to this display setting and switch it off the information. If, for instance, you don't want to display any cavity for all the symbols in the drawing, we can just do a system. This is the command property. Let me highlight it. You run property. You select the symbols that you want to control, enter. And here you can define which attributes you want to massively switch off. So I want to switch off the cavity footprint interface and click OK. So this will switch off all the cavities from all the symbols in the drawing, all the symbols in the selections that I have made. If you have any questions, feel free to post. Let's specify a functions for this valve. This valve is for a pump unloading. So we go to the circuit and solenoid information. We can change the solenoid ID. So let's say that this solenoid name is Y001, and that's pump unloading. And we can move the functions to the left so that the functions is displayed together with the symbol. And at the same time, we can specify different functions for all the other solenoid valves in the drawing. Let me do just for one here. And let me leave S1, S2, and that's maybe for lift up. And lift down. Functions will show up in the drawing and you can move where you want. And then in the system tab, we can create an actuation chart of the entire diagram. Yes. And the actuation chart can be exported to Excel or can be placed in the drawing. Let me put it here. So the actuation chart for the pump unloading, we have must energize item 15 ID Y001, and the other I didn't change the other name. But now I want to create the part list. So before doing that, I want to really control the item ID numbering. So as you can see, this item is number 1, this is number 2. This is relatively randomly placed according to when I did place the symbol in the drawing. I don't like it, so I want to number items in my diagram with more logic. And since I have 2 pages, I want to maybe have a part list that is structured first page 1 and then page 2. So to do that, you can have several techniques, and we will understand how to really control the item numbering in one of the webinars that we have scheduled this month. Now let me just show the command. Item ID, you can select the symbols that you want to control. You press enter to confirm the selection, and we can start numbering from maybe 100. So page 1 is my 100 series. And at the same time, enter to repeat last command. Last command was item ID. I select again, enter, and I start with the 200, enter. As you can see now, I have all the new items numbered. Of course, we can move the item in order that the ID is not overlapping. That is okay. Now I want to create my part list. So I want to make a part list for all the diagram. Enter. And the parts must include the components, accessories, system accessories, hoses. Although now in this exercise, I didn't put any accessory, I will just click next. And here is a preview of my part list. Whenever you see an empty space, you can type in whatever you want. So the manifold, I didn't specify any molecule. So let's say that this is a Eurofluid EZ molecule, and the manufacturer is Eurofluid. And again, this one is maybe a Parker subplate. And so on. So you can fill in information. When you fill in empty information, I recommend you click update so that this information will go to the corresponding symbols in the diagram. So I expect later to see this molecule assigned to the envelope of the manifold. Yes, we can place the part list in the drawing. And now our part list is arranged with some logic, 100, 200, and so on. But I want to do something else. I also want to be able to make a quotation from directly from the diagram, because I want to deliver to my customer a PDF, and the PDF is almost ready. I mean, let me delete the actuation chart. Let me save. So I mean, to build a PDF, you can just plot. I normally in this case recommend to do the batch plot, print batch plot. I don't need to plot the model space. I want to plot only the paper space, which are already configured. I want to publish to a PDF and click publish. This is asking me to save, and let me save in my project, HyDraw January, PU, PDF, select. I don't need to save this list of sheets, no. And this is creating the PDF on the fly. So if I open that PDF, so let me open my PDF. And let me go here. If I open my PDF, this is how the PDF is looking like. So I have the main page, I have the valves, and I have my part list. Here is the part list. And the PDF, in this case, I selected a style with the colored lines. It is possible also to create a full black and white diagram. And this is done just by a setting in my environment, which is basically applied to the template. Let me show you how to page setup manager. So basically you can control how to plot. Let me do the plot. I have this styles, line color or monochrome STB. So in my diagram, I like to see the colors for the connection lines, because for me it's easier to understand the diagram, but you can go to the monochrome and set the monochrome as default. And in this case, the plot will be completely black and white. Okay, so we have produced a PDF of our diagram, which is okay, and the quality is good. We can also find items. So I mean, we can look for item 101.2 and it is finding. We can go for item 100 and it will go to item 100. But I want to show you how in HyDraw we can really read and interface with an Excel file. I already have shown in another webinar how to configure this Excel file. So let me show you where you find the settings. So in the HyDraw options, which you open, in this case you didn't see because I just typed in YO. YO means HyDraw options. But if you don't remember the shortcut, of course you find HyDraw options in the circuit options tab. There is a tab called update from Excel. Update from Excel, you can select your Excel file. So let me show you how this Excel file is made. Let me find it. This is just an example of a file. It is created randomly with random data. So basically I have a set of molecules. In this case, I have 5,600 molecules. I have the manufacturer, part numbers, randomly generated, price, randomly generated, assembly cost, and stock. So basically the idea is that if you have a price list, a price book, or any information that you can keep always up to date, then we can interface this information with our diagram. So the interface is once configured is very easy, and it is just update from Excel on the entire diagram, enter, including all. When you have the light blue, it means that there is automatically a match. So HyDraw was able to find directly the exact model code in the diagram and the exact model code in the Excel file. So it is able to retrieve the manufacturer, the part number, the list price, the assembly cost, and so on, and also the stock. When you see select, it means that you must go inside and select a component, like here, a piston or HIDAC. Let me take HIDAC. Or here I have this Parker valve, or here another one. So in this case, you can find similarities between the model code that you have in the diagram and the Excel file. And there is a chance that also it is not able to find any match, or a wrong match, because in this case, really, I don't have many molecules in my system. When you have done this matching, you can click Update All. So now HyDraw is saving this information from the Excel file directly to the corresponding symbols in the drawing. So if we select let me find a component like this one, the pump now has a list price, a part number, and it has also an assembly cost. And the same here, we have assembly cost, list price, and part number. Also, the shut-off valves are the same. We have a part number, list price, and assembly cost. So we can create now, again, the same command, part list, for the entire diagram. But now we want to select a different format called a quote. And I click Next, and later I'll show you the configuration. And we can export this file into directly an Excel file. And let me save this to the quote Excel. So let me open it. So this is just it is saving into a template. I have all the items, the manufacturer, the quantities, the molecule, list price, assembly cost, and on top I have some formulas. So directly I have all the logic built in my quotation template. This part list called the quote is configured always in the HyDraw options, YO. List and charts, we go to the quote, and we can see which attributes are defined for that part list. And as you can see down here, we have the template. And the template must, filling the template must start from column 1, row 6, because on top we have a logo and we have other information in our template.